All right. Dave, kick us off.
What's up, Anthony? Dave with Fight Finesse. How you doing, my man?
Good, bro. How you doing?
Doing real good, man. First of all, congrats on those 6 points earlier, a couple weeks ago. I got one question for you. One easy question, I think. You got a beautiful family. You have a successful MMA promotion. I see your IG stories. You're doing good on the tables. You're doing, stacking things up nice. Why is Anthony Pettis fighting in PFL? Why is Anthony Pettis fighting in 2022?
This season's all about redemption, man. Last year didn't go my way, and I still love this sport. I think this sport's something that I was born to do. Fighting was something I was born to do. Knowing that I didn't give my all last season, it didn't go my way. So this season's just all about redemption for me, man. I'm trying to go out there and get this third belt.
Very cool, man. Anthony, good skill to you, my guy, and continued success.
Thanks, bro.
Trevor.
Hey, Anthony, Trevor Ritchie with the HITP Network. Obviously, that last win was your first since, I think, December 2020, as well as your first win in the PFL. So I'm just curious how that post-fight feeling after a win has changed compared to maybe, early WEC days or UFC days.
It feels exactly the same, man. That high that you get from winning a fight and especially when there's fans there, it changes everything. Having the fans in the audience was a game changer for me. Last season there was no fans in the audience; it was kind of quiet. So this season, having the fans there and having that motivation again, it just feels good.
Is there any aspect of the game that's maybe gotten harder for you at all in that respect, like the ability to kind of find the same level of gratification or motivation in some of the things that maybe gave you that naturally earlier on in your career? Is that not an issue for you?
No, I don't think the motivation's ever been an issue for me, man. I train hard. I've always trained hard. It's just, the game's changing. Guys are getting better. There's especially in this format. This format's totally different than anything I was used to. I treated last year like one of my old fights. I would do a 2-month training camp, have as much time as I needed off, and then go back to another training camp. But in this format, that's not how it works. You got to do the bulk of your training early in the season because this really is a season format. I'm fighting again in 6 weeks. So you got to be smart about your approach to these fights and how you train for these fights.
And you touched on the evolution of the game there a little bit. Where do you think these guys have evolved the most in this new age of MMA?
There's no more like one-off practitioners. There's not one guy's straight good at grappling or straight good at striking. Everybody's good everywhere now. And there's no easy fights. In any organization, everybody's tough. Even in my fight show, when I see guys fighting in my fight league, I'm like, man, the level of competition is rising really, really quick.
Can you pinpoint when that changed in the game, you feel like? A time frame?
I think it's just gradually been happening. As more opportunities open for fighters, the popularity of mixed martial arts. When I was up and coming, there wasn't kids that wanted to be MMA fighters. Now there's kids that are starting at 5 years old that want to be a mixed martial artist. So that's kind of the change. I think kids are starting at a young age to do the full spectrum of martial arts, from the grappling to the striking to the traditional martial arts as well.
Absolutely, and you were definitely a part of that as well. Thanks, Anthony.
Thanks, bro.
Ben.
Hey, Anthony, you said you've been open to boxing before and have been seen at Capetillo Boxing Gym quite often. Ironically enough, Clay Collard has had many boxing bouts under his belt. Would you see that as a fun first matchup if you were to go to the squared circle?
Yeah, honestly, I was disappointed that Clay didn't make the playoffs. That was one of the fights I definitely wanted to get back from last season. But yeah, man, Clay's nothing but respect for that dude. Honestly, that dude's a grinder. He has a great work ethic, and to see how his skill set is, he's a fun fighter to watch. I think everybody loves to watch Clay. So yeah, that would definitely be a fun fight for me.
Now, can you offer some words again, like you mentioned, your own fight promotion, APFC Midwest Invitational goes down August 12th. What are the differences being kind of the promoter on the behind the scenes of the MMA side of things?
It's out of your control. On this side, I control if I make weight, how I make weight, how I perform. When it comes to promoting, it's kind of out of your control. You set everything up and hopefully everything falls into place. And there's a lot of scrambling last minute that happens to make these things come together.
Now, your daughter's birthday was a week ago, celebrating 1 year. Congrats on that. Can you describe what it's been like seeing her grow up over the past 365 days?
We went by so quick, So like she was born right before my last fight for the last season, and to be here right now, like even when the birthday came up, me and my wife were like, man, that went by so quick. But to see her growing up and to see just that motivation alone, man, just that's just something that just parents only know that feeling. When you have your kid and you're responsible for that life and you got to take care of that kid, and she's just such a sweet little girl. It's just I'm blessed to have a family like I have.
Love it. Best of luck, champ.
Thanks.
Max.
How you doing, Anthony? This is Max going from the Going Live Network. How you doing, boss?
I'm good, bro.
I just had a quick question about the unique situation you're in right now. You've already made the playoffs, yet you're going in for the fight. Does that allow you to kind of just go out there and have fun, knowing no matter what happens, you're good for the next round?
Nah, you know what? I'm focused. I think last season, the way last season went makes me have a lot to prove this season. A fight's a fight. Anything can happen. I go out there and make a bad mistake and I get hurt and I'm pulled out of the tournament. So like I gotta be on my P's and Q's. I gotta be smart. And I know the guy that I'm fighting, he needs the points to get in the tournament. So a lot of firsts for me in the PFL. I've never been in a situation where I know I got to fight in 6 weeks, and I'm guaranteed that fight. But I got this fight in front of me, so I'm trying to take it one fight at a time and just enjoying this process again.
Absolutely. And to mention your opponent for this fight, he was also in the UFC during your time there. Did you ever think you would cross paths with him? And what do you think about this fight coming up?
Yeah, he actually fought my teammate Paul Felder. So Duke Rufus has some experience cornering against him already and kind of game planning for him. And you know what? He wasn't on my radar in the UFC just because where I was at. I don't think he was top 10 at that time, and when I was in the top 10. But anything can happen, man. He's here now and he's in front of me.
Absolutely. I appreciate the time, man. Good luck on Friday.
Thanks.
All right, I'm going to read a question from Josan Montesino from LLO and JMC Productions. How do you rate your performance against Miles Price?
I would say my performance was actually flawless. I went out there patient. I didn't force anything. Even when I saw the opportunity, I hit him with that first uppercut, and I saw his eyes go back a little bit. And I kind of got a little hungry for the finish, and I was like, all right, calm down. I was right in my corner. I could hear my coaches. I think it was a flawless performance. I came out of there with no injuries and got right back to work.
Awesome. And knowing the amazing history of your family, how do you feel to be able to represent the Latino community, especially Puerto Ricans around the world, and achieve all the success along the way?
Oh, it's amazing. I think the Puerto Rican fans definitely get behind me and my brother, two brothers that are world champions. I don't think that's even been done yet in this sport. So, it's already a huge accomplishment for us there. And then we're also fighting in New York City coming up. So I'm excited to go out there and perform in front of my fans.
Thank you. Daniel.
Anthony, welcome to Atlanta.
Thank you, bro.
How you liking it here?
Yeah, I like it, man. I went to the aquarium. I was just trying to kill some time. I'm out in the Olympic Park. I'm doing my running, and the weather's amazing, so I can't complain.
A rich history of combat sports, man. I mean, these fights of all time have happened here. Matt Evans versus Chuck Liddell, Dustin Poirier versus Matt Gastelum versus Israel Adesanya. Is it exciting to fight in a place like this where MMA well appreciated and respected?
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Not only that, the boxing history with the Olympics here that happened. There's a lot of history in this place, and I've never fought here before. So yeah, I'm excited to be out there and perform in front of my fans out here.
Chain game is on point. Who's your jeweler?
Harry Glenberg from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He's been my jeweler since I started.
So Anthony, you're the former lightweight champ, the former UFC lightweight champ, but you're not just a fighter. You opened your own barbershop. You've opened a sports bar. You've made a lot of good investments. What kind of message would you send to younger fighters about managing their money so they have something to show when their fighting careers are over?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I talk about this a lot with my fighters. I also have fighters that are up and coming under me, just managing your money and actually pursuing other things, because like fighting, you can only get, 3 fights a year, 4 fights a year max if you're lucky. And not everybody's blessed with a long career like myself. I've been fighting since I turned 19, man. So I've been at it for a long time. So I had a lot of experiences with, just straight focusing on fighting, other businesses, injuries that took me out for years at a time. So I think, I would just suggest guys just obviously focus in on their fighting, make as much money as they can with their fighting, but then reinvest. Without them investments, you have no continuous streams of income. And I felt it, man. When I had a year off and I didn't have any other incomes, I felt that that's what maybe made them decisions to figure out how to make income other ways.
So you made your pro debut in 2007, and anytime and doing long, I can imagine it's easy to get burnt out, take breaks at times. How do you reach that flame and passion for this?
Yeah, I would say, man, the fighting just it does it for you. You know, this isn't like a sport that you play. You know, you see it all the time, man. Guys lose their lives doing this sport and boxing and combat sports. So for me, the motivation is like obviously being the best in the world, the best that I can be is the straight motivation, but like taking care of my body. You know, I take pride in how my face looks after a long career. You know, I don't have crazy cuts. I don't have bad looking face compared to, some other guys. So my defense is something I really focus on. My coach taught me that, like if you want a long career, your defense has to be just as strong as your offense. So I think that's something I take pride in is how I look and making sure that my face looks the same after every fight.
You've accomplished everything in the sport. Do you feel there's a perfect crowning achievement and exit plan for your long and illustrious career?
No, I don't really think about an exit plan, man. I'm only 35 years old, so I think I did so much early in my career that people just remember me from the beginning of the sport, honestly. Like, when this sport became popular and social media just popped up, that's when I was, making my claim to fame. But I feel like I'm still hungry. I'm still motivated. I'm still training with some of the best in the world. And I know my skill set. I still have a lot more to prove.
Lastly, Anthony Ray is a tough and experienced southpaw. And I mean, his game is pretty meaty. You know what he brings to the table. Is this a fight where you can take more risks and we'll get to see the signature Anthony Showtime and Flash?
You know what? This season format changes up all that. I said it in my last fight. I'm going to approach these fights a lot smarter. I don't want to go out there and force anything. If I see the opportunity, you bet I'm going for that. But I'm going to take this fight just like I said in the beginning of the season. I'm going to be smart. I'm not going to force any Showtime moves. I'm not going to try jumping off the cage unless the opportunity's there. And, if it is there, of course, I'll take that. But I'm going to be smart in these fights. I'm going to try to snipe this guy from the outside. I don't think he's fought a striker like me with the dynamic movements and the things that I bring to the cage. So, yeah, I think, I'll be smart this fight.
I appreciate it. Best of luck this Friday and welcome to Atlanta.
Thank you, bro.
Dan Ankle pick.
Hey, Anthony, there was a fun night of lightweights fight last Friday. Who impressed you the most?
Man, there was a lot of good fights on that fight. I mean, Alex Martinez, he did a great job fighting Clay Collard. Clay Collard, I know how tough that dude is and how much he brings it. So I think Alex Martinez fought a smart game plan, and Clay just got caught up in the grappling, man. I think if Clay would have, not pull out of that grappling and took it back to the striking, he would be in these playoffs. So yeah, I would say Alex definitely surprised me. I mean, OAM too as well, defeating Haush, just a smart game plan, and he pretty much stayed, injury free. So I would say both of those guys that made the playoffs were pretty impressive.
You've talked a lot about being smart in your approach to this season, and you've also mentioned Capetillo boxing in your defense. Do you think that defensive boxing is what gives you that step ahead in terms of this season format and preparing for a long string of fights in a row?
Well, I think just training like a boxer, they really focus in on their cardio. They focus in on their weight being really close to weight and not cutting a whole bunch of weight. So changing my training's more like a boxer, more like a striker, and making it a personalized camp. I flew in my coaches from Brazil to Las Vegas. Duke Rufus from Milwaukee, lived in Las Vegas for a couple weeks at a time. So I think the camps were all about me. So I think that approach just made it a lot more safer of an environment, but also I learned so much more because these coaches are there during my training session. They're not splitting their time up with 20 guys. It's just all on me.
Awesome. And one of the last minute replacements for featherweight on this card, Aga Huskic, last fought on your promotion, Showtime FC, in February. I guess how cool is it knowing that your legacy in the sport is going to continue to grow long after you're no longer fighting and fully eclipse what you could just do as a fighter?
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up. I just sent that to my business partner yesterday. I was like, yo, that's already happening. That's exactly why I started my promotion, is because I wanted guys to have the opportunity to get to these big organizations coming off of my platform. And yeah, I'll go as one of the first guys to go from APFC to a big show. So yeah, I mean, it definitely shows that I'm doing the right things.
Awesome. Thank you. Good luck Friday.
Thank you.
Mike Owens.
Hello, Anthony. Mike Owens here. I just want to ask first and foremost, do you feel like you're in the driving seat of this division, given everybody else has fought, and you almost need to, know what you need to do?
Last year I felt like I was in the driver's seat, and I think that mindset just made me a little less humble, and I changed that up. I think man, all these guys are tough. Anything can happen. You know, I'm just more motivated and more just structured and humbled on being in this position, but also I know what I got to do. So yeah, I'm in a good position, but man, anything can happen. We all know, you know, MMA is a crazy sport and anything can happen.
Of course. If the bracket stays the same as it currently stands, you'll face House Manfio in the semi-finals, the last guy to put an L on your record in what was quite a controversial loss. So how kind of tantalising is it, the thought of potentially getting the rematch with Manfio and righting that wrong?
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted last year, was a rematch versus Manfio and Collard. You know, Collard didn't make the playoffs this time, but the way it's lining up, looks like I get my rematch against Manfio. And again, I thought I won that first fight, but I'm not a judge, you know, and you know, it didn't go my way. He won his $1 million. Big ups to him. But you know, I want that rematch. So I'm not gonna look forward to that fight yet till I get through Friday.
Of course. And just one final question, and I know you're not looking past Friday night, but should you get through and get to the playoffs, your next fight will be on English soil, or British soil, I should say. Now, I checked the records, and you've only previously fought outside the US on a couple of occasions, a couple of times in Canada, and I think the Joe Lozon fight down in Japan. But how tantalising is the thought of fighting on British soil in potentially your next fight?
I was excited about it, but I found out we're fighting in New York City, August 5th. The lightweights and I think the light heavyweights are fighting in New York City. So we'll August 5th will be New York City, and then the rest of the PFLs will be over in your guys' place. So yeah, I don't think I won't get that opportunity this year, but yeah, I definitely want to get over there, man. My coach fought literally on every continent, and that's something I want to be able to do too. Like before I'm done with the sport, to say that I fought around the world.
Maybe next time. Thanks, Showtime.
Maybe next time. Thanks, bro.
Trevor.
Hey, Anthony, one more from me. And I think someone brought this up earlier, but you're clearly an avid gambler, right? And seem to do pretty well at it, at least in our eyes, from what we see on your social media channels. So where did that passion grow over the years? And what's your biggest win?
Yeah, bro, I've always gambled, honestly, but I live in Las Vegas. So it's I mean, whenever I get that itch, I can just drive to the strip and play. My biggest win, I've won six figures. A lot, you know. I won. I think 2 weeks ago I won 120,000 from roulette and blackjack. Cosmopolitan is one of my favorite places to gamble. But yeah, I'd say 6 figures is pretty normal wins for me. I do have my losses too. Everybody's like, post your losses, but I mean, how do you post a loss? You know, an empty table with no chips, like it doesn't really make sense. But yeah, I think over the years, I just got better at my gambling. You know, I treat it more like a business than just a pastime. A lot of people go gamble and they drink and they want to have fun with it and make it a fun thing. For me, I go there and I'm trying to beat the casino. Hanging out with Dana White, honestly, showed me the key ways to gamble. That dude's a avid gambler and he's good at it. So, you know, seeing the way he did it is kind of where I'm trying to pursue.
What about sports betting specifically? Is that also something that you do as often as blackjack, roulette? And what's your biggest win there?
Yeah.
Well, there's sports as well, not just fights.
Everything, bro. I bet on everything. So I actually have a guy in Las Vegas, big bag betting that I pay for my picks, you know, and Las Vegas is a pretty normal thing. You know, literally everybody that lives in Vegas sports bets, I would say. You know, every time I go to lunch with any of my friends, we're talking about sports and, you know, what good bets there are and, you know, all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I love it. You know, it's another way of making money. And you know, as long as you're structured with it and you're not crazy with it, you know, it's a fun time.
You ever bet on yourself?
No, I never bet on myself.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thanks.
Any more questions for Pettis while we have him here? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Going once, gone. All right. Thanks, Anthony. Appreciate you. If you'll just head right next door.